To Fempreneur True Confessions podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you here on our new day and time. And I'm Laura. As you all know, I am the owner of ODA Virtual Assistant. We're here to help small businesses grow in their confidence, knowing that they have a team behind them to help them scale and help that business grow with them. So that is what we are here for. And
Awesome.
Angelique, do you want
I
to?
am Angelique with Lady Powerhouse Solutions. And Lady Powerhouse Solutions is a heart centered approach to offering project and event management to women entrepreneurs who are on fire and lighten up the world with their passion and drive to achieve their missions in the most authentic way possible.
Absolutely love it. So together, Angelique and I, we are Fempreneur True Confessions podcast. Our mission here is to empower women in business and in life to live authentically as well as support each other instead of competing with each other. We don't like that competition model. We much rather model authenticity through our business and personal relationships and empower other women to do the same, to really have those real conversations with each other without worrying about that.
Right. Normalize,
Yeah.
right? What it looks, what the challenges are, and share the lessons that we learn. The common goal here is to lift other women up, never tear them down, normalize what it looks like when women succeed at supporting each other, building up each other's confidence, and encouraging each other to use our gifts and passions to fulfill our life's calling. So, what we're trying to do here is build, maintain, and grow a sisterhood that believes in an abundance mindset, sharing our challenges and helping each other rise to our highest potential. And we've got an awesome guest that's doing just that.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm here to introduce Briar. And I was given permission to not say her last name, but I think I'll get it right. Dougherty is the founder and CEO of Career Organic, a professional development company focused on one-on-one coaching, candidate resume writing, and bios, as well as group coaching for professionals across multiple life stages. Over the last 2 decades, she has been supporting a global clientele of professionals and entrepreneurs in navigating life and career transitions and identifying opportunities for advancement in their lives, careers, and businesses. As a mom, a cancer survivor, a business owner, and a coach, she is active in sharing her expertise with news media outlets and podcasts where she speaks about finding new perspectives to create a career momentum and growth and gives actionable tools to help people navigate their unique complexities. After a decade of successful growing her career in New York City, Briar ventured to Metro Atlanta, where in her corporate career she specialized in regional business growth and talent development, acquisitions, startup business strategy, and executive team building. She also is super passionate about giving back to her community. And we are excited to have you here. I got it right, didn't
Here.
Welcome, welcome. So, are you a native New Yorker?
I'm not actually.
Okay.
So I'm originally from the Poconos in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
but I went to college in New York City. So I went to FIT. So I moved there when I was 18, but my parents are both from New York originally.
Okay. All right.
So
I didn't hear an accent, but
no accent over here. No Long Island, none of that. No coffee.
no coffee, no going for rides in the car.
Right.
Although that's more north, that's more Boston.
It's more new. I was going to say it's a little bit more New England, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, welcome. We're super excited, obviously, to have you here. You have such a diverse background. I just love it because I do too. And I feel like we're like a special breed.
Mhm.
Not just special in the short bus kind of way, just, special.
That would be okay too. I'll take
Hey,
it.
I'm down with it.
However it comes.
Mhm. But you do with your diverse background. So how did you land on what you're doing now?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Absolutely. I think all of us have a theme that we follow, whether we're aware of it or not. So my journey, I think, starts when I was in high school. I know that's a long time ago, but I was vice
Just a
president
few
of my
years.
student body. Like, we're not aging ourselves right now. So
That's right.
my bio, I felt like I should be 85 when my picture arrived. So we'll be shortening that next time. Anyway, so when I was in high school, I was, vice president of my student body. I was co-captain of the basketball team. I was very involved in the community. And so I just loved being connected, and I loved seeing others around me growing and thriving. And I went to New York City for school, and I literally went full-time college, full-time work. So I was in management very quickly, working in Crunch Fitness, worked my way up the ladder, and I loved it. But I started to realize, like, I loved seeing my staff grow. I loved helping team members. I loved being a part of the interactions. And so each stepping stone of my career, when I look back at it, because I was a regional director for a salon and spa company out of Saks Fifth Avenue, that was kind of like the peak of my corporate career, where I was managing I had 500 associates. I was traveling multiple states. I was doing acquisitions. So a lot of business management. But when I look back at it now and all of the roles I had afterwards, my core passion was helping people grow. I was naturally aligned to it. I am an old soul. I had a lot of experiences in my young life that have really shaped me and kind of helped me grow quicker. And so, as a coach, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a mom, like all of these things, I love seeing the people around me grow. So I don't feel like, when we look at our careers and all of these like moves, and, we're supposed to climb this staircase that's like beautiful, and that's definitely not mine. I'm like in the labyrinth, the movie, like the staircase is moving this way and I'm hopping that way. And I'm like, oh, this door is open, and let me climb the ladder here and over the loft. And so I did that, and I enjoyed that, and I learned a ton. So I think that common thread of just watching people grow is what landed me where I am right now.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah. So I saw that you had a blog, and you talked about getting assaulted at work and what it taught you about owning your true story. And I saw that, and my eye just lit up. I was like, oh my gosh, she's got a powerful story to share. And I can't wait for you to share that here, because I feel like it's just really important. I think it's important for women to know that it's okay for you to be a jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm.
That it's and that it's okay for you to share your experiences, even if they weren't like really positive
Yeah.
experiences in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was a general manager at Crunch Fitness. I was either 20 or 21 at that point, because I became a general manager at 20, and I was still a general manager at that location for a couple of years. And I had a member come in, and she started 5'2" woman. Okay, so I know you can't see it, but I'm 5'8" on
Okay.
flats. So I'm tall-ish. Okay. So just wanted to like kind of give you the visuals of what's happening here. So she comes into the location, and she starts screaming at the front desk, and she's screaming at my assistant manager. And so naturally, I go over to kind of interject myself and protect my manager, and I lead this woman away from the front desk, and I calm her down. And this was kind of like a forte of mine. Like, I could calm people down, get them to like really share what's the issue.
Yeah.
And so the issue was that she mentioned that she was pregnant and needed to cancel her membership. And I was like, completely fine. We just don't accept medical cancellations in the club. It has to be mailed in because of like privacy, like HIPAA laws. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And so that was what she was frustrated about. We came to a resolution, and she walks out the club. My facility was a 4-floor location. So it was in Soho, Manhattan. You got to walk up a flight of stairs just to get into the location.
Hmm.
So she's walking down the stairs. I turn around and I have her paperwork that she had been trying to shove at my assistant manager. And I have it in my right hand, and I'm walking back around the desk, and this woman apparently got halfway down the stairs, turned around and realized she was not happy with that resolution, came flying back up the stairs, swooped me by my hair, pulled me by the back of my hair, and dropped me to the ground. And so I went up like a banana peel,
Yeah.
like one of those, all the way up in the air. Thankfully was holding paperwork in my right hand because I'm a righty, landed on my left hand. And I tore everything in my wrist. So the ligament, the cartilage, all of it. I didn't know that right afterwards because it escalated very quickly. She got up, and my assistant manager, as well as another kind of lower level manager, saw this happen, and the gloves came off. It was, "Oh, no, you didn't." And that's all I remember hearing. And I was like, "Oh, no, they're going to get themselves in trouble." And so I got up, ran in front of this woman, put both my arms up because both of them were coming, and literally took the brunt of a full-blown attack toward this woman. So they literally ran right into me, and I protected her. And I told them, "We need to get back. We need to call the police." I turned around calmly and told this woman to sit down. And police came, the whole deal. And they took her to the station and then let her go because they actually didn't believe my story. So I ended up in a doctor's office weeks later, not knowing what was going on with my wrist, did all these scans, and it came back that I had torn the cartilage right through my wrist. So it was bone on bone. And the ligament that allows your wrist to go up and down, that had been torn, not all the way through, thank goodness. So they were able to save that. And I had to undergo a really intensive 2 surgeries. One that repaired the ligament and the cartilage first. And then you can kind of see this little divot here.
Yeah.
My second surgery removed the bone there because when I healed from the first surgery, I lost feeling in all 3 of these fingers.
Oh, no.
And so they had to remove the bone because of the shifting to allow me to have feeling in my fingers again. So it was 2 surgeries, 5 months in disability, in a complete arm like immobilizer. So it was It was a big it seems like such a some small woman, right? 5'2", and I hope not to offend anybody on their height, but compared to me, she was much smaller in stature, and she dropped me. I mean, like
wow, she
sumo wrestler style.
but she caught you by surprise for sure.
So like that for me was, it's still, and it, like, I am a cancer survivor. That made more sense to me. This situation didn't make sense because I was so upset with myself for so long. It was, how could you turn your back on this woman? How could you, it was almost like, why were you so stupid to trust that she was leaving? Like, you should have waited till she actually left the door, or what, any of those things. Right. And so I had a lot of, guilt, anxiety. I didn't like the industry anymore. So it really it hurt all my pizzazz. And I loved gyms because, as I said, I was co-captain of my basketball team. I lived in the gym. I was going to play college basketball, lived in the gyms. And it put me out. And so it was interesting for a while because, I'm young at this point. This is oh my goodness, am I going to regain? Am I going to work out again? All these things going on. And so when I got back into it, I felt embarrassed at first. I was like, why do I say I transitioned out of, health and fitness? And it's like, oh, I just lost my pizzazz. And it's like, oh, well, why'd you lose your pizzazz? And it's like, because someone attacked me. It was just such an awkward story to tell. And as a young professional, I didn't want that to be my story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that makes sense.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm the one that, turned their back, and I was naive. And this is how I saw it for a while. until I started to grow in my career and see that there's a ton of crazies out there, and it's okay. And that was a life lesson I needed to learn. Going from Crunch Fitness to Saks Fifth Avenue, because that was the transition I made in my career. That was my next step. Like the clientele was completely different, but this is Saks Fifth Avenue flagship, right? 50th Street location, salon and spa in Saks Fifth Avenue, 10,000 square feet in Saks Fifth Avenue. And the clientele, while not in the gym, still had these like really wild expectations of what you could maneuver, or what, like, okay, we're out of, mocha coffee right now. Like, stop screaming at my staff. Like, we will get it if you wait 2 minutes, right? And so I got to see like the reality of this is around us all. Like, we all have these experiences. We all have these wonky things that happen to us. It is called life, right? And that can't be my one and only story. It is a part of my larger story now. And it taught me so much. One, like, I will never, ever turn my back on someone who's angry. Never again in my life. Okay. And I will teach my children this too. It's a valuable lesson, So if anybody watching, you haven't learned that yet, like, just listen to that one. 2 is I'm allowed to make mistakes. Like, I'm allowed to. I'm going to learn. And if I can take that lesson and apply it to all the other pieces in my career or my business, or even teaching my staff how to fend for themselves or how to think through things, like, that physical attack translates so much to all the emotional attacks we get on a regular basis.
Right.
And so if you can heal from the physical, you need to take time for the emotional too. And so those were like big pieces for me in my career. But that story in particular was like, it was one of the first really just bad things to happen in my career. Like, everything was going great. I was like on top of the world. I was this young rock star general manager, like the youngest in the company. And then that happened. And that was it. It was deflating at the time, but I feel so blessed now that it happened. Even though, like, I have like really fun range, so it doesn't bend as far now.
Wow.
So like, even the physical stuff, like, I still feel it, and it's years. I mean, this is years.
Yeah.
But it's always that reminder. It's always like, hey, that was just one good piece of your journey because of these things you've learned from it. And that's truly how I see it. Because, like, I don't have an emotional connection to that anymore. Like, I actually find it funny. I'm like, I play it back in my head and I'm like, wow, she was strong. Like, and then I think fondly on my staff, I'm like, oh, like, they were willing to battle for me. Like, there's all these like really good vibes I get from that story now, where that first year coming out of it was hot and heavy. And anybody that's gone through something like that, like, you have to give yourself that time to work through all the guilt, all the shame, all of that. And then also the fear. Like, like, I go in gyms now, I'm perfectly fine. Like, but for a while it was like, I just don't really want to be around here. So there's a lot of healing emotionally that I had to go through on top of the physical.
And I think that's a good point to make, that so often, because we don't have a physical scar or bruise or what have you, then that means it's, it doesn't exist. And that is so not the case.
That's right.
I have so much more emotional damage than I do physical, and I've got quite a bit of physical damage. But, emotionally, I still struggle with, getting triggered and having anxiety attacks and things like that. And in fact, just last night, laying in bed, just kind of frustrated, because it's like, you know what? It's been enough time. I should not be struggling with this anymore. But your body keeps a score.
Yeah.
It remembers, and it takes time for you when you've been conditioning it for, let's just say, 20 years, that it's going to take time to condition the healthy behavior
That's right.
back in,
That's right.
and to have patience and grace, to give ourselves grace.
Well, and I think the first step though is recognizing that you're having that judgment of yourself or that emotional response to something. And I think people try and just dismiss it and bury it. And that's something I will say my entire life, I've always addressed it. I've always just been the person that I am going to put myself on the skewer and just say, like, why are you feeling like this? Like, why do you think this? You know, and like question myself constantly. It's a blessing and a curse. It's exhausting, but it has helped me through and to heal quicker. You know, and I don't say that to like be from an ego standpoint. It's just I that is the one thing I pay most attention to, and especially because I blame having cancer on my emotional state. I was under an extremely hard amount of stress during that time after I and found cancer in my body. And I swear it was the amount of stress I was under, and it was like the metabolic manifestation of my stress, right? And so all of these things that kind of have happened over my career and my life continue to teach me to pay attention to those things. And like I'm everybody's biggest advocate for taking a break. Like even my team, like they'll say, you know, like we have such a close knit staff, but someone will be like, "Hey, I'm just not feeling well today, but I'm still here," and I'm like, "Take the morning, like check back in the afternoon if you like want to work." Like check back in the afternoon and then we can touch base. And if you're still not feeling it, like take the day. Or like a death in the family. And it's like, no, you're out. Like nope. Like, let's just plan on you being out this week. And like, if you want to come back early and you're feeling okay, like fine, but let's accommodate that. So I'm not only an advocate for myself now in life, I'm an advocate for others when I see others struggling with setting those boundaries. So like that is one of the biggest blessings I think I could have been bestowed on and now bestow on others. So
that's awesome. Why do you think that you've always been able to address your ish? Where did that come from, do you think?
I think it's my personality. So like I don't like being in negative places. So like I don't like watching certain movies because of that. Like I have a hard time with like 70s movies for some reason, like with the psychedelics and the like the dark and the like being in this altered state of mind. I don't enjoy that like at all.
She's a bit of a control freak.
I am.
Because I'm the same. No, and the only reason I can say that is because I am too.
Yeah.
Like I don't like being out of control. I don't like being so inebriated.
So like I'm not a big drinker. I never had that college phase of like never.
No.
I was the DD always. I mean like always. Like people could count on me. And if they saw something in my hand, they're like, "Oh, can I have that water?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, okay." Yeah. They knew it was water, you know, or seltzer or something. I don't like feeling. But it's not, see, it's what's funny for me is I'm not a control freak in other areas. It's literally when it comes to my well-being and my ability to make an impact, right? So like a friend, I was attacked on the street in New York City, walking a girlfriend home. Oh, I've got some fun stories, but I was walking a girlfriend home from the bar, and I would always go with my girlfriends, especially when we were in college, because young girls can get taken advantage of, and it is what it is. So I was walking her home from a bar. I was completely sober, but I'm in pumps. So I'm 6 foot, right? So like in high heels, I'm 6. And these guys had driven by us, and she was like, "I think I'm going to be sick." And so I ran her to a bench, put her head between her legs, and was like, "Just breathe." And I'm paying attention to her. This is why I got attacked, because I needed this life lesson. Pay attention to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is before the attack. So 4 guys all of a sudden are standing around us. And I'm like, big guys. I mean, big guys. And I pick her up and I'm like, hey, we got to get out of here. And I pick her up and this guy pushes us back down and he's like, you're not going anywhere. And he sat between us and I tried to get back up and he literally put us both in a chokehold. So, like, was big enough to get me here and her on his other arm. And I'm like up against him because I'm 6 foot, like he's 6'4" maybe. So I'm like, he's got a great grip on me. My friend's like 5'2", 5'3". So he's kind of struggling with the
disparity.
Yeah. And so she just ducks down like, this is fun. Ducks down, turns around, doesn't know what's going on, is staring at us like, oh, what's happening? And he goes to grab her and ends up slapping her across the face. And I saw nothing but red. And so I elbowed him in the gut, got him to release, turned around and punched him, and I got him in the Adam's apple. And by then his friends are like, get out of here. Like, we're not getting in trouble in New York City with these two crazy girls, you know? And so they started to run away. I picked my friend up and literally just ran. And I think about that moment and I'm like, this is why I'm in control. Like, this is why I don't.
It's made you
extend
hypervigilant.
myself into like harm's way. And so I like my mind to be sound and I'm allowed to have my, night off or things like that. I just don't enjoy it as much. And so, like, your question to why do you think you so quickly kind of get over these things? It's because I just don't enjoy being in those down moments. Like, I constantly crave the light. Like, I don't even like eating in the dark. I like the feeling of having the lights on and enjoying that. And then we can turn the lights off and watch the movie. There's just something energy wise for me that I want to align to. And so that drives the actions in my life that I take.
Yeah. Awesome. Great conversation.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So you talk about how to seal the deal for your best job, but I don't know about anybody else, but in my career, I didn't always know. I can think of one particular instance where I definitely didn't know that this job was not for me. So, I mean, what advice would you have for people and how to identify how to resonate with and know, is this my best job?
Yeah. I love that question because I think we're all trained when it comes time to graduate from high school and we all have to go to college, right? And like there's this stigma around this one funnel, right? One funnel, like we step on the elevator and that's where we're going. And that's just not true anymore, right?
No,
so
especially not anymore.
One is saying, I'm allowed to iterate. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to evolve and know that every step in my career is not going in a linear direction. It's a cumulative build in all different directions. But I think what most professionals and even entrepreneurs do is that they look at their past and they say, I have to explain away what I did previously. I have to hide that, right? Instead of looking at what was each move for me? What did I learn? What was the strategy there? What didn't I know at the previous role that I then learned at the new one? And it can be bad things too. And people forget that because they leave toxic work environments and they're like, that was a waste of 2 years and I'm emotionally spent and I'm burnt out. And while I completely understand where people are there, they learned what they don't want. They also probably learned how to be a more compassionate leader or a better communicator or a better facilitator, right? Because like out of pain and challenge, we always grow. And so I think like that's the first thing is if I wanted to give anybody advice about their career is to stop looking at it from this stereotype, this cookie cutter, this box you have to fit in. It's just not true anymore. Like this is not 1940s and you're working for Bell South and that's your one job. And
Yeah.
Fix the telephone wires for the rest of your life. Like, that is fantastic. And I love my grandparents that they got to do like one career. It is not reality anymore. So we have to know, if we end up in marketing and we're like, I'm just not feeling this. And then you try retail, and then you try maybe project management, or you make a transition into tech. There's a reason you're wanting to make a transition. There's something you're craving.
Mhm.
So instead of looking at the environment we're leaving, let's look at the attributes of the role that light us up and that we feel are still missing, and align to the attributes rather than the roles, right? Because we all look at
Yes.
titles, we all look at, oh, I have to be a CEO, I have to be an entrepreneur, I have to be a project manager or a senior project manager. And we go after titles. And there's so many titles out there in the world.
Yeah.
Like, what? The job market's wide open with like 800 titles for the same role. Okay. I will say this, I promise, because it's a lot of work that we do. And if we stop looking at the titles and we stop chasing this blueprint that doesn't fit our reality, then we're able to jive and like be on the dance. And if you can dance with your career, you're going to have a lot more fun, and you're going to see more opportunity. So look at the attributes, like make that list. If you're in a role that you really love, make a list of that. If you're running a business and you're like, I can't stand 40% of what I'm doing, like make the list of that, right? Make the list of, these are my core passions. This is what lights me up, because I know what lights me up. I love coaching. Oh my goodness. Get me on a group call, a one-on-one call, and I'm all yours. Like 100%. Like, I love coaching because I love seeing that impact and that light bulb go on. That gives me energy. But doing the P&L or processing payroll or all that, like, that's super energy depleting, right? Yeah. And so when we take account of those things, we can always keep a margin for ourselves of, do we have enough that's fulfilling us? Right? Because we can do the admin stuff and all that if enough is filling us, right? It's when we're tipped the opposite way, and this is the fulfilling part, and all this is the administrative stuff that you're just like, I don't want to get up today, or I don't want to do this another day. That's the imbalance. And so we have to keep a running list so we can evolve and adapt, and not think that anybody's going to perceive us differently for wanting to make a change.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Earlier today, I was a guest on a podcast, and it was so much fun. I love. I mean, I was an avid podcast listener before podcasts were a huge thing and everybody was doing them. I was the one in my car on my commute listening to NPR, but I really liked one of the questions he asked me, and I'm going to pose a question for you. So this one's totally unscripted, not that we script anything, but but what do you think makes a good leader?
I like, two things come like running at me. One, you have to be able to actually listen. Two, you have to be able to serve outside of yourself. And so when you make decisions and have conversation and give feedback, you are not giving it from your personal perspective. You're giving it from the perspective of growth for the individual you're working with. What do they need to hear?
Right.
How do they need to grow? What are the key things that would accelerate that growth? And I think a lot of bad leaders work from self out.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to serve others before we serve ourselves. And that's kind of how I see life, is we're serving others constantly. And in that, we're serving ourselves. And so as a good leader, like, first and most important is you got to listen. Like, you have to be open to listening. And I find this for myself, where if I'm distracted on a phone call, like, I have to say something to my team. Like, I have 2 kids and I homeschool. So like in the mornings we have this whole like routine, and like we're very regimented family, and I love it. But if I have to take an ad hoc call and I know the kids are around, sometimes I can be distracted and I can feel that energy. And it's like unspoken energy, right? Like it's,
Mhm.
they'll put up with it because I'm the boss. And
Mhm.
that's not leading,
Right.
Right.
So recognizing that and saying, hey, my kids are around. Is it okay to have this conversation? Like, do you just need answers or do you need my like strategic thinking brain? Right.
Mhm.
And so, like, one, you're listening to them, and two, you're leading from what they need first, not just, hey, this is the most convenient time for me. So you're going to have to put up with my kids running around. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
Makes
to like sum it, there's a lot of things that make a good leader, but like those two things, if you don't have that as your foundation, you're not growing anybody.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And people confuse leadership. Like, oh, my manager. Your manager's not your leader.
Right.
Like, let's have a conversation. Sometimes it very well can be, but there's a very big difference.
Well, leaders should be leading the next generation, right?
Mhm.
So if you think about what leader means, it's guiding people
Mhm.
to a like you're going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we're not being stagnant. That's not like what
Yeah.
leading is.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So we're guiding them somewhere. So if the interactions aren't guiding someone like anywhere on the ethers of what you're doing together, then you are just managing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. True story.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for being willing to answer that question on the
Yeah.
fly there.
Yeah.
I thought it was just such a good question, and I didn't have anything prepared, and my response was really similar. Like I want my team to know that I'm not expecting them to do anything that I'm not willing to do.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what else I said. I don't know. Probably.
No, but I love that too because I'm like I ask my team for feedback, and I have to say this one, and then I'm done. But I had a team member say, well, Briar, I know you've been really busy lately, but like there's Slack messages where I'm like having to re-ping you, or you're just like leaving for the night and I don't have an answer, or you like don't even give me like a thumbs up like you've read it. And that can be frustrating at times for me because I don't know, are you reading it or not? And I was like, wow, like, thank you.
That's great feedback.
Thank you. Like I didn't even because I am reading them, but I am not taking the time to acknowledge like this is where I am at it, or I'll respond to you tomorrow, or I was taking for granted that I could open a message, go on with my day and do things, and that she would just continue with her work. And I was like, wow, that was a great smack in the face. Like I needed that.
Mhm.
And I was so proud of her for bringing that up and like saying it because like I have made a very big effort to do that like across the board with everybody I work with,
Mm-hmm.
but especially because of what she said. So like listening and then being able to action on that and like continue the progress. I thought that was so cool to experience that and have someone who was willing to do that for me, but also that we've created the environment where that door is open.
Right. It's just safe.
Yeah.
She
That's
felt
right.
safe saying something.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
And
I
that
think that's
mindset
really
of
important.
that of building that safe space for your
Yeah,
team
that
and
culture.
creating it. Yeah.
That's
'Cause
right.
not everybody's willing to create that.
that's right. But that's
Being
I
willing.
don't expect anything of my team outside of what I would do myself. And so if I can give feedback, I expect them to give feedback.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it.
Awesome. Great conversation. Such
So
goodness.
exciting. So, Briar, I'm sorry. Briar is she does have a special offer for all of our Fempreneur fans, True Confessions fans, and she's offering 40% off her job seeker membership right now. So you can join her and her expert coaches as they guide you throughout each week of your job search strategy. And we will make sure to leave the link to that in the show notes so that you're able to get to that and sign up and meet with Briar and
Yeah. And also next week, we will be back, just like we are every week, live. Um, and our guest is Kim Romaine. And one of the things we like to do to show support and encourage, this. I hate to say it's because that's a weird way of saying it. Lack of
Normalize
competition.
support for women
Yes.
and other professionals.
Yeah. So Briar is going to introduce Kim.
Awesome. So Kim Romaine exists where the magical and tactical connect to help individuals and organizations make the world a better place. With over 20 years of facilitating change as an attorney, nonprofit and corporate executive, artist, and theatrical professional, she knows the power of a great strategic plan coupled and supported by mystical energies. She is both an intuitive and logistical sounding board and partner, allowing space for new perspectives and ways of doing things. A recovering attorney, trained mediator, visual artist, ICF accredited coach, founder of the Chaos to Clarity and Time Alchemy programs, former co-host of the Best Parts podcast, co-host of the YKAC Weekly Wrap-Up podcast, and co-founder of the Your Kick-Ass Career Collective. The unicorn fairy godmother you always knew you wanted, but never knew existed. Consider her part leadership coach, part business strategist, part heart-centered mentor for individuals who are building organizations and lives that change the world.
Awesome. There's some of that stuff I didn't know about Kim. I didn't know she was
reading the bio.
She's the unicorn fairy godmother. So
yeah. Oh, I knew that.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Lastly, our announcement this week is very similar to the one we've had for quite a while now. Sign up for the newsletter. We offer weekly sneak peeks for upcoming guests, and we're going to begin sending out that monthly email full of all of the free and discounted resources for your business that each of our guests have so generously offered through the month. So thank you for being with us this week, and we will see you the same bat channel, same bat time next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.